Evening all. I trust we are all well. Hopefully this is working because I've moved some stuff around. Yeah, I think you can hear me. Yeah, there we go. All good. Yes, so we had to delay the stream a day because it was Claire's birthday. So happy 21st birthday, Claire. We went out for some Chinese and then we went to Casper's, which is like a dessert place. It was all very nice. And we all ate too much. Get my windows arranged a minute. Wow, it's bright. So rather than doing a poll tonight, I'm just going to go ahead and do some ceiling panels because I want to get this bit ticked off for the roadmap. And then once we've done that, we can just move on to the final thing, which is getting the graphic settings sorted. As per the last couple of days, I've been going ahead and doing more in the way of graphic settings. Basically, I'm just going through like every single Unreal Engine CVAR and looking for all the ones which have a significant or tangible impact on the frame rate. And I'm kind of making a list and adding all those to the settings. So the settings page should have a lot more in the way of options for things you can turn on and off. I also experimented with our potato mode, which actually doesn't look too bad. It's basically just set ambient lighting across the whole ship and world. But our 1050 test machine is getting over 60 FPS on potato mode, so that's quite good. Right, so I shall just finish off this panel here that I've been working on. I keep finding panels that I've missed. I keep thinking, right, I've done them all. That's every panel we need. And I realise, no, here's another one. So yeah, I was just working on this before the stream. I shan't be streaming till midnight like I normally do. I'm going to hop off at 11 tonight. I've got a couple of errands I need to run. So tonight you've got me for 3 hours rather than 4. But, I'm sure we can squeeze a lot in that time. So that corner's giving us an issue. Oh, I see. It's the length of that edge. Let's just merge that and that'll get rid of that issue. Oops, I forgot to do the outside bits. Make sure I've got all 4 of them. Yeah. Looking good. I've tried reinstalling Vertex tools because it comes up with this error every single time, but does still seem to perform the Vertex merging action, so I'm just going to ignore the error. Okay. It's not... Oh, I see what it's doing. Is that a hidden edge? Yeah. Why would it hide that edge? Something weird going on there. That's better. Or not. Creating this weird cut through the middle there. It's a sign that something is not quite right. What I'll do is I'll take a copy of that upper face, delete the whole thing, and then just re-extrude that shape. See whether that helps. Yeah, that helps. It's weird that it does that sometimes. There was nothing fundamentally wrong with the geometry. It's just, I know there must be just an overlapping vertex or something somewhere that was causing it to flip out. It seems to have done the job. Yay for templates. That's odd. You know what it is? I think my my actual path has probably got some issues. Let's get rid of that a minute. Find the base path, right, there we are. Does it have some like weird vertices on there, but it does. I think it was the path itself obviously had some vertices which are like 0.5 millimeter separated from one another, so just merging those fixed the issue. I seem to have had one of those days today where I spend all my time like fixing problems rather than actually getting on with anything practical. One side. I'm just going to check this side as well, make sure there are no stray vertices doing anything weird. Yeah, after I've done this one specific panel, which I forgot, I want to move on to getting the... Oops, go away, Discord. I want to get the panels done above the planters, because they're kind of holding us back at the moment, so I just want to get them sorted. Copy of those paths a minute. It's nice that we've got the process nailed down. So much for these now. Really doesn't take terribly long to churn out these panels. will, however, need to borrow another template. Where are we? There's one. I've positioned the end caps exactly where they need to be on the template so that I can just copy paste them onto the panel. And the same for the bolts actually. So the location of the bolts and then the end caps are precisely where we need them to be. So we can just grab that, that, that. And we can get rid of the template. That in there. And then we'll put those on the same group just to keep them consistent. Getting there. Just fix the inevitable holes that get caused. So these little glitchy errored bits at the edges are caused by that section there being less than the curve. So that's 3.8 centimeters and the curve is 5. So when we round that edge, you end up with a bit left over. I can just trim that off, that's fine. Steal the central color from another light. I can find one. Right, and that will do for now. Slightly more complicated to do the horizontal bars there. Just find one actually that I've already done. You'll do. So what we have to do is split that into equal segments. So if we explode the curve a minute, I just happen to know that the width of the crossbar is 0.75, so just chopping that much off the end of the path. So, then we take the whole length of the path and we split that up into 10 centimeter lengths. So we should have each piece being roughly 10 long. Yeah, so it's 9.859. We just need to remember that value, 9.859. Weld that back together. Grab this. And then just angle that. So copy that along there. Was that 9.859, was it? I think it was. I should have copied that equally all the way along that curve. Yeah, pretty much. How off were we? Less than a millimeter. We can live with that. Let's do the same on this side. So we pop that path in the middle. Raise it up to exactly halfway. Explode the curve. Measure the end caps. May seem quite fluffy, but it's how we get it lined up perfectly. Right, so again, we split it into 10 centimeter sections. And each section on this one is 9.877. Add an extra bit again. Don't want that. So that along there, 9.877. Too many sevens. Okay, let's check the spacing. Yeah. Now we have as evenly distributed a grid as we're ever going to get. Should be all the various bits that we need. To make the anchor point. Harder and harder to line this up the further out you go, because the curve of the curve gets slighter and slighter. So finding that perpendicular line gets more and more difficult. Okay, so that needs to be a component. Ring 2, so let's export this as reading panel. So it's that's T. Actually, no, this is an FDEC one. T. Maintenance tunnel. Yeah, should do it. Job done. Save that a minute. Sorry, just catching up on the chat. Claire's doing a great job at answering everyone. Yeah, what we're classing as gameplay for the 226 update is a VR. So VR is an entirely whole new thing all in its own right. And obviously the addition of white dwarfs and planetary nebulae. I suppose it really depends on what you class as gameplay. Is looking for white dwarfs and discovering unique nebulae gameplay? This is what we're doing. Again, it depends on what your focus is. I mean, there are a lot of players that aren't interested in engineering, and for them, the new bridge NPCs have been the biggest thing for them in the game, because it means that they can do the stuff they want to do, which is exploring the galaxy, without having to get up and walk around the bridge continuously. So, you know, is that gameplay? Is the fact you can order NPCs to do stuff, would you class that as gameplay? And if it's not gameplay, then what is it? Not to mention the all the new sensor modes and all the sensor stuff. I mean, that was a huge amount of work that went into all the new sensor stuff. Again, is that gameplay? It's such a vague definition. Well, yeah, life now exists throughout the galaxy. It might just be a text-based description for now, but it's still there, and the system is generating the data behind those alien civilizations. So again, as much as they are just a text description, the back end is still doing all the hard work of generating that data. So that's the foundation that's required before we start physicalizing that data into something that's more 3D out the window. Yeah, I guess it really all depends on what your definition of gameplay is. So right now this panel doesn't fit, and that's the one we just made, so we shall make it fit. should be the bulk of the material stuff done. Okay, so we just need to open up that particular one, change that to the new one. So that was ring to T maintenance. Just need to adjust the light size. Should be wider than that. Oh, I know what's happening. Of course, yeah, so these ones need the engineering button pressing. Just to change their style. And of course we need to change the model type here. So that one. There we go. Now it fits. Just grab the connected cable details, make sure it's actually got power. To reposition all of these panels because when we updated them to the new format, they were their anchor points were in the ceiling rather than on the floor. So of course they were all 2.5 meters higher than where they should have been. So we just need to go through and make sure that all the right ticks are ticked. I need to re-export this particular T-piece as well. I'll do that later though. Okay. So just drag in this one. Ticky the tick. Just realised actually these have got optimization disabled. Go through and fix that in a minute. Cat on the desk. There we go. You're welcome, Danger Mouse. It's all part of the fun. Right, so for some reason, a bunch of these have optimization disabled. Don't know why. But if we select all the actors that are using that, which of course is none apparently, that's weird. Lies. Try it this way instead. It's more like it. Right, so all of those panels, yeah, should not be disabling optimization. Should have sorted them out. Right, so what I actually wanted to do on stream was to fix these stupid circles up here so that we've got actual proper lighting solutions for these plants rather than those temporary lights. Yeah, you might want to go more than 1050. I mean, if you're talking buying a whole brand new PC, then I would say have probably an RTX 3050 minimum or equivalent card. Something like a 3080 would be better. You know, price depending. Yeah, the VR spec for this is extremely high because we're not using forward rendering. We're using a deferred rendering pipeline, and we have like a bazillion lights, and it's not a game which is built in the way that you would build a game if you were building it for VR. We're including VR as I guess a nice to have rather than the core experience. So, you know, as much as we're making room scale VR as good as we can, kind of the trade-off for having the visual fidelity the way we want it is that it is going to have an extremely high at minimum spec. What on earth has happened to these panels? It's so weird that, like, I haven't touched these panels. So why are they in the wrong place? Weirdness. I can see what's happened there. It's probably lost its scale. Yeah, it has. Sigh. Missing a panel in the corner there as well. Where did that end up? Ah, there it is. You know, nothing else is weirded out anywhere. Oh yeah, there's one. What on earth happened to all these? You know, I mentioned earlier that I spent my entire day just fixing things. This is an example of that, where for some reason things have just gone weird, despite having not been touched. Like, where are they? Where did they even go? And why did they go there? Let's turn off some of the junk so we can see what we're doing. Turn that on. Get rid of that. Well, that's interesting. I deleted this. It's almost like it's reverted back to a previous version of the asset, because like I definitely deleted that. Uh-huh. I'm assuming what's happened here is that these meshes have lost their rotation. Rather, they've lost their negative scale. I mean, ideally, you shouldn't be scaling things negatively anyway, but it's a quick and easy solution for things like that. Okay, was that all of them? No, there's that. Yeah, it's not a bad shout. I mean, I always do try and do a quick flyby around every deck before putting a build out. And, you know, hopefully I'll notice these things whilst I'm doing my rounds. But, you know, as the ship grows and more assets get added, it becomes easier and easier to miss things. I think that's everything now, though. Calm down, camera. Maybe. But the weird thing is, it's like these wall panels here, like there's no reason for them to have been touched at all. The only thing I can think of is all of these panels are all the same actor, and the only thing that we're changing for each one is we're giving it a specific mesh. So it might be the case that when I was editing the actual main actor, it reset all the variables. I mean, it must have done. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense. So when I was just messing with this, because what I did is I tried experimenting with using an instance mesh rather than just a normal static mesh actor, and yeah, that didn't go well. We lost about 10 FPS trying that little experiment, so I reverted that back. But when I was changing the mesh type, that it's obviously flipped these back to what they should be, but it's weird. There's no reason why those default variable values should or could have been updated just by changing this to a different type of mesh. But whatever, easy to fix, so we fixed it. Yeah, we'll fix the stairs kind of one staircase at a time. The issue we have is that the staircases have curved geometry on them, and that causes issues with NPC pathing and being able to get up them. You can probably see it a bit better on these because there's more of a groove. But what happens is when the when the pathfinding tries to get over the step, it treats this curve as a slope. So even though it's just a step up, because it's hitting a curve, it's like, oh, that's a really, really steep slope. I can't walk up that. And yeah, it messes it up. So what we need to do is just put some invisible planes on here, just for the collision, and then things can walk up there nice and smoothly then. Right then. Let's get that ceiling back on again. So again, what we want to do is replace these temporary lights with proper hanging ceiling panels. And I think someone mentioned earlier about like hanging planter lights, and yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. The kind of lights you get above fish tanks, just grow lights, which should be perfect for this scenario, because we can have the standard white paneling on the ceiling and then just have like some black shiny lighting fixtures hanging down just for the planters. And I certainly can. Yeah, I can make them purple. And one thing I did do, this is one of those like little like 3 o'clock in the morning ideas that I have sometimes. If I turn off that fake light a minute. That fake light, by the way, is what potato mode is going to look like. So as you can see right now, all of that is lit. If I turn that off, it all goes dark. So the potato mode lighting is basically just this, it's like a cube map that just applies like equal lighting from all angles, which means we can turn off all the lights on the ship and then just have this one static light lighting everything, which is tremendously performant, if ugly. But yeah, so what I've done with these lights, it's really, really subtle, and you probably can't tell, but I've added some fake GI bounce. So if I turn that off, you probably can't see it very well, but it's applying an ever so slight green tint. Did I have a power for that? I thought I did. Yeah, so if we turn that up, you can see that it's adding some green onto there. So the idea is obviously that light is above a plant, so we can artificially cast some green light upwards as part of our fake GI. So it's not calculating that, I'm just literally just telling it what color to be. But yeah, it's a nice way of just adding some color tint to it. I'm sure I added some controls to that to make it brighter or whatnot. And obviously we can change that, but that's not the same. Let's see where that went, but yeah. Little things all help. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, ray tracing's kind of been deprecated in Unreal Engine now. Lumen has taken over everything that ray tracing would otherwise have done. Obviously, you can do Lumen with ray tracing, so all the screen probes and things are ray traced. But we don't need specific ray tracing. In fact, I've set it up already for Lumen, so all we need to do, just turn Lumen on, ta-da, and now it's ray traced. So all that kind of bounce lighting and color pickup from these is now being done with Lumen. You can see kind of the green up there in the ceiling, all of that green's coming from Lumen for the real-time GI. So it's funny, it took a lot of like prep work in order to get to the point where we can just turn Lumen on and off, because of the way that the lights, add the emissive surfaces add light to the scene. So when you turn Lumen on, you've got the emissive lighting plus the lighting that's there from the physical light, and they all both add together and they make the scene too bright. So yeah, there was a lot of tweaking that needed to go on, but we can just turn that off. So that's the non-lumen scene, and that's the lumen scene with all the GI. It's a simpler toggle now, which is nice. And that will be coming in the graphics options, so you'll be able to toggle lumen on and off as you desire. Yeah, ray traced audio is a thing. There's a really good video on it on YouTube if you look it up. It's just one guy that was experimenting with it from what I can see. But yeah, ray traced audio is really, really good. Yes, the floating lights is exactly what we're fixing. Yeah, so there's another tweak we can make to that. So obviously when you turn Lumen on, the reason that it doesn't look as good is because it turns off screen-spaced ambient occlusion. So where we've got some of our fake shadowing, I guess, kind of like the shadows you get around here is all coming from SSAO. When you turn Lumen on, it removes that. But you can bring that back with some console commands, which is what we do. So when the actual Lumen switch is enabled from the settings, we go through and we do things like we make sure that we turn on ambient occlusion SSAO with Lumen, because it gives us that art direction. So we can tweak it a little bit more for the visual style that we want. And also making sure that we go through our lighting and we do things like, although I think it might already be doing it right now. Yeah, so we're setting the panels to make sure that they don't add to the scene. Actually, on that note, let's just grab those two console commands, because those are the ones that are pertinent to this, and then we can just add it to that. Just because we're never not going to want this set this way. So we'll set it in the engine defaults, but just to kind of over-rake the pudding a bit, we need to make sure that's on, because otherwise, yeah, otherwise it looks like that. So that's with whatever ambient occlusion Lumen uses, and this is with SSAO, and I don't know, I prefer SSAO. The Lumen version is just so flat. It just looks overlit, and in my opinion, and it is just my opinion, but I think SSAO looks better because you get more depth to the scene. Right, lights. Back on B deck for this, really. So I'm going to just copy paste these all the way down through the stairwell. So once we've done B deck, technically we've also done all the other decks as well. So we are literally just copy pasting. one of the minor challenges we have here is when we're designing the ceiling panels, we're trying to stick to sort of a coherent layout, so it's consistent throughout the whole ship. So you can see here, these panels, line up very specifically, and they have certain size and scale associated with them. The cavities in the ceiling also adhere to a certain size and scale. So we're trying to make sure that the grills line up with the cavities and that sort of thing. So the old, I guess, middle bit panel kind of looked like this, and I wanted to do a similar grill around the light that goes around the security desk. So I wanted all this bit around here to all be grill, which is why we have that panel. Let me turn off floors a minute. Yeah, so all around here, and you can see I started making one here, was all going to be just a metal grill. I think I would like to stick with that. Yeah, and then just have just panels there. But we do have a small issue, which isn't really an issue on this deck, but on other decks. Like if we come down underneath, the issue we have here is the edge of the stairs. Let's just turn on the deck below a minute. Yeah, so we've got like the metal framework. Wow, way too much geometry in the way. Hang on, let's get the camera out of everything. Right. So we've got the metal framework that sticks out this far, and the ceiling panels stick out further than that. So they stick out further than this little ledge here. So when we are measuring the gap there, we need to make sure that we're kind of obeying the edge of the cavity that goes around there. I think that's it's probably sticking out the same amount, to be honest. Let's just see. And also with the stairs around here, so we've got, I suppose this is a good example. So you can see that the panel is sticking out beyond the edge of that lip, which is fine there, but when you get to this bit, the actual cavity for the stairs is sticking out way further than the width of that panel. So as that panel goes round, it's now overlapping where the stairs are. And in fact, that's why I had to remove it in some places, because those two were just getting muddled up. So we need to make sure when we put this panel in, we're taking this into account, just to make life more awkward for ourselves. Also not quite sure why I've left that bit there, because that's going to be awkward. It's probably going to be easier if we do this using C-Deck, because that has more of the intersecting geometry in our way. See, that aside, I like the idea of using the same wall panel design on both sides. Let's copy some of that down a minute. So we grab that, and that. We'll just copy them down to the deck below, just so we can see what we're lining up with. Didn't go down far enough. that's lined up there. That's lined up there. So we need a panel to go in this bit, which is going to be nice and awkward. Then we've got another panel, which is going to follow around where this curve is here. Because we need to put an edge to this bit as well. Thanks. Yeah, it's I love the amount of detail we're going to with this, but at the same time, it's it can be a nightmare at times. So I'm trying to honor our segment boundaries there, which means we can use the curve we're using for this one. And then we'll grab the same template. So it was that one. Actually, I suppose I want to use this curve, don't I? Not that one. So as the easiest way to do this is probably just going to just pivot around there with the height that we have there for the panel. But an issue we do have is how far down those stairs actually drop. they do come down the whole way. Okay, that's all right then. I was worried for a minute that they were up there somewhere, but no, they do come down far enough. Yeah, so I'll have that curve wrap its way around there, and also there. So it might be worth if we grab a copy of that edge. All that component a minute, and then we'll copy that down out of our way. Yeah, we'll fill all those gaps in. So basically, we don't want that anymore. To make a new template with this. Yeah, so if we use this one as our guide, pop that on there. Oh yeah, thanks Anasi, it's worth pointing that out. Obviously being the first of the month, the first stream of the month technically, we should be doing the competition, but what with Claire's birthday and everything, it's been a bit of a rushed few days, so we'll be doing our competition stream on Sunday. So if you want to head to the Discord, then we'll open the channel up for picking your numbers. This is our monthly key giveaway. So we give away dev build keys and some captain ranks. If you check the video description, there should be links for it all in there. Claire's usually very good at filling all that out. I think rather than leaving a gap on this one, I'm going to have it butt up straight against it in the same way that the wall panel does. wonder why it was duplicating the actions then. It's because I'd copied across the whole component, which we didn't want to do. So we don't need that or that or that because it's not going to be a ceiling panel in that regard. Don't need that, or that, or that, or that. Yes, Ren. So our general way of operating when it comes to building dev builds and releasing public builds is that we'll do this. We do it in patch cycles. So at the moment we're on patch cycle 226, which is the 266th patch cycle, funnily enough. And patch 226 is these ceiling panels, the addition of VR, additional graphic settings, and the addition of white dwarfs and associated planetary nebulae to the galaxy. So that's basically all the main bullet points for that patch. There's a few fixes and various bits alongside that, but those are the main parts of the patch. The dev build, which is internal and available to backers, that usually lasts a couple of months while we go through and build the patch and flesh everything out. And then we try and update that dev build as much as we can so that the backers can get the first bite of the apple and have a good look at what we're doing in real time as we're doing it. Once that's then polished and the backers have helped us find all the bugs and get it in a release-worthy state, we'll then update the public demo with that build, and then we'll start work on the next patch cycle, which is 227. And again, we then go internal, so it's just us and the backers while we're working on that. And then when that's polished, it goes out to the public. Repeat forever. That's essentially how we're doing it. So if we make that our new template, then we want to bring this one in as well. So before I go editing anything, I shall just export that out as a template so that we're not losing it. we get the base metal bit done first. Trying to get our footprint sorted so that it aligns with all the various bits that are sticking through. Namely that. I guess that's no longer relevant. Just recapture that edge a minute. Yeah, so when we extrude that round there, we need to make sure we chop off the bit where it intersects with this edge. But at the same time, we're going to have a funny hole there. Just wondering whether it's worth extending that edge forward a bit, just so it lines up with there. I think that would be better because it would be more in keeping with the rest of that section. In fact, yeah. Yes, absolutely, I'm going to do that. Actually, which means we don't need that bit. So if we move that out to there, that's going to get rid of our nasty hole problem. And then the same with this bit, which is going to be slightly more troublesome. See if I can grab that edge without grabbing anything else. It has grabbed other stuff, so I'm going to have to do this one manually with a bit of a fine-tooth comb. All of that and that bit. Move them forward to there. See if we can borrow this curve. It should be reasonably similar. Reasonably similar-ish. or not at all. What if no, that geometry's all different. Okay, so if we just grab that a minute. See whether curvy loft can sort it out. Yes, it can, is the answer to that. There we go. Right, that makes more sense. Gives us more of an easier job when we're going to wrap around that bit, because we're not having to fill this stupid little hole there. Hey, Zogbox. Don't know yet, Anasi. We'll have to see. Once we start working on it. I need a template guide. So where's my floor guide gone? One that's got the perpendicular bit in, so that, oh yeah, that one has there. So it should do there as well. No, of course not. Alright, let me just sort that out. Come on, autosave. Why is that? Oh, there's two of them there. That's why. So why is that Z fighting us? But there was one on top of another one. Yeah, when I'm working on ceiling panels, it's just easier to work on them upside down, because otherwise I end up losing the camera, which I do anyway, to be fair, but I lose it even more than usual. Let's just weld that up. Right, so this is our cut line, so it means we don't need the floor template anymore. So let's just move that down somewhere. Somewhere slightly above where it's needed, otherwise it will cut up the geometry. Right, so that's our basic panel for that bit. That should all line up nicely there. We need a second one. I need a better anchoring position, really, because I didn't line that up to anything. It's almost exactly lined up, which is just a fluke. It's about as lined up as we're going to get. Right, let's see how bad this overlaps everything. Kind of need it the other side, really, so let's just copy that over. Actually, make it a component first, and then we'll copy it over. going to have to build this up in layers, I think, because that's going to need to follow a path around there. And of course, the angle of that curve as an inward curve is going to be significantly beyond the capabilities of that curve to curve in on itself. So that's going to look weird. So I might need to round that off separately. So what we'll do perhaps if we made the wrong one a component. Make that one a component. Did I literally just copy that over and not the rest of it? Didn't I? Let's try that again. Okay. Right, I think if we take that edge there, let's copy that up to match that one. And I suppose this is going to have to go to line up with that. Which means so is everything else. Just occurs to me that I'm going to have to split this as well, because we're doing some funky shapes with it. So that's that bit wrapping around there. Now obviously we also need this bit to wrap smoothly around there as well. So I'm probably going to have to do some kind of diagonal across there. We shall see. edge. Yeah, I'll probably just use subdivision on it. Save messing about. Oh, that's interesting. So we've got quite the height discrepancy there anyway. Why? So that's right there. We forgot to raise it up. There we go, it's better. So they're the same height, which is what we're after. Yeah, so what we're ending up with this is, again, we're looking at it upside down, but the cavity for the stairwell then will join smoothly into the curve of what will be the planter. And then that mirrors what we've got for the middle, which also mirrors what we've got for the wall panel there. So it all kind of matches nicely. Nice consistent sizing and spacing. And then for this side, it's all a lot easier. So we'll just join those bits up after the fact to make our panel. And then to make this bit, I think we'll the risk of breaking it, try doing something like this. So just separate these off a minute. I've stolen that completely from the other one. Actually, given that I'm doing that, I may as well just delete the bits I don't need. So I'll merge these into each other. Yeah, so something like that, and I can just soften that edge off. And obviously deal with what's going on here. Oh, hang on a sec, guys. I am needed. Sorry about that. There was a massive spider underneath my daughter's bed, and neither of my kids, both of whom are teenagers, could deal with it. So I just needed to go and fix that for a minute. I was tempted to show it on stream, but I know a lot of people are sensitive about that kind of thing, so I just chucked it out the window. Yeah, you know it's serious when it was so big that it was worth, like, getting me off stream to deal with it. It was huge. Yes, I'm not a fan of spiders myself. I am, like, I'm not deathly afraid of them or anything. It's just, I don't know, I'm just not a fan of them. So I'm quite happy to grab a glass and, you know, cup them and stick them outside, but that's about as close as I'm willing to get. Yeah, that's probably the one thing putting me off ever going to Australia. Although from what I've heard, they're not a big deal, and like you rarely ever see them. But still, a random huntsman just appearing in the living room kind of would freak me out. Right, that's all the geometry fixed. Not that this particular bit's that important because it's the bit underneath, but it's good to have a clean base to work from. Yeah, this particular one was just a massive house spider. The biggest one I've ever seen was one that Claire actually picked up, because she'll just pick them up, and I don't quite understand what's wrong with her. But yeah, she'll just go, giant spider, of course I'll pick it up. Why wouldn't I pick it up? Madness. It's not about being a wuss, it's about being, I don't know, I can't think of an excuse. Yeah, a few years back, there was a house spider on top of the toilet roll in our downstairs bathroom, and I'm no exaggeration, it was as big as the toilet roll. Like, it sat there and its leg span comfortably covered the size of the toilet roll. And this is like a standard UK size toilet roll. I mean, it was big. And Claire just picks it up. She just picked it up. It's as big as her hand, and she just picks it up. And she's there holding it, and it's like crawling all over her hand, and I'm just slowly having a nervous breakdown. Yeah, survival instincts, exactly. It's true, I did consider burning the house down. This bit's going to take slightly more fixing than the other bit. What I'll do with this, for the sake of brevity, I shall delete the whole thing. Just going to smooth that bit off, and then we'll extrude this bit down, sort of as is. That should retain the shape for us without all the messing about. Those bits done. Okay, last one. Might be worth doing the same with this one actually. I'll just get the top face done and then just extrude it down from there. wall panel, ceiling panel. And I'm thinking those curves are probably too big. I have to lessen them a little bit. I might have actually used my other template. No matter, I have spares. checking the separation there, which should be 1 centimeter, which it is. To make sure we have the same with this. So ideally, to move that over by 1 on both, sorry, not 1.5. 0.5 there. No, that side can stay as it is. Which means this template only works one way around, so I just need to make sure I don't forget that. Is there a giant staircase in my way? Let's get rid of that a minute. Making sure we've got the right separation between edges on here. Doesn't feel like enough, but yeah, it practically is. We're all in it for the nerdy. So that's exactly 240 to there. I could do with being a bit wider there. this side we are exactly 240 to there. Okay. So I'm thinking redo bottom bit. So we have a slight difference in curve, which is why it's stepping out like that. Once I've rounded everything off, hopefully that won't cause an issue. Okay, so that's exactly 110 wide, and that's exactly 3.5 meters from there. So that's where it should be. So this bit's the accurate bit, that bit's slightly off. We're talking millimeters, so it's not really something you're going to notice. So an interesting question here is whether or not we continue that rounded edge. I don't think we will, because it will cause us problems. Which means that we could just have it standard rounding. So we've got our plane panel there, we've got our cutout panel there, we've got something in the way there. So much stuff. I need to go through all these little bits that are floating around everywhere and work out why they actually exist. Right, so the next bit, I need to go around this curve, whilst also kind of honouring this curve. I might make all that one piece actually. I think it would probably make life easier. Yeah, I will do. So, because you've got this segment here, this one here, and we'll have that one be the joining piece between the two. which means the planter, given that that's the middle of the plants there, kind of needs to attach to that bit. An ideal world, it's going to be in the middle. There-ish. Yeah, so the lights are not going to be fully in the middle of the panel in terms of where they're attached, because of where the middle of the planter is. That's kind of a necessary evil based on the stairs and how wide the cavity is there. To be honest, I may have gone a little bit over the top on that cavity, but it's what's done is done. I can't change it now. Yeah, plagued with stuff. So this one's going to be another interesting one, because the outside bit and the inside bit are going to have different curves, but not in a way that's going to cause us a pain. Like this bit here, obviously I need to round off more smoothly, so it's not quite so sharp. But we won't have that problem on this bit. We just have to do like an angular cut there, which means we'll have one panel there, two there, and the third one there. And then we'll have the wall panel itself wrap around there. And then these ones will have to just maintain the contour of this edge. Yeah, that early build is scarily awful. This based on its edge. Probably have to do that to all of them, to be honest. Again, just making sure we've got that consistent separation between everything. And then we'll need to do the same at the other end. Yeah, I will round these off now, actually. I was going to hold off on that, but to be honest, there's no reason not to specifically. So if I just I will artificially smooth that off. And the rounding should only round the edges. That's all those bits. And just same again for this one. We will smooth that. Didn't actually want to smooth that guide. Problem here somewhere. Oh, I see, it's all this. So yeah, ideally we need to make sure that all of these vertices are perpendicular to this edge. Obviously that one can't be. Or is it this one that's not? Ah, yes, that one. Better. Now they are all coplanar. Apart from whatever isn't. Which bit is it not liking? top bit's alright. Bottom bit's not alright. Okay. Oh, but it's this. Oh, I see what's going on. That's more like it. Yeah, so that bit under there can stay like that because you're never going to see it. But yeah, this bit needs softening, which I'll do off stream at some point, so we're not sat here all night fiddling with it. Right, so we should have a fairly nice edge on here now. I'm going to have to pop off in about 10 minutes. As I said, this was only a 3-hour stream tonight because I've got errands to run. I think I'll make the edges of these ones equal to that one. Of course it. Whoa, messed up. Wow. Corruption much? It's funny actually that I'm not seeing as much of this SketchUp weirdness with the Caravella, and I think it's testament to how much more geometry there is on this particular file. I think you know, we're definitely at the point where we could do with starting to separate it up to a deck-based save file. I think one deck per SketchUp file is probably a much more efficient way of doing it, because otherwise we're going to just keep making it worse and worse. You make a good point, actually, Firstus. I was supposed to pop that out, wasn't I? I shall make a particular effort to get that done at the end of the stream. Yeah, it's not particularly a hot fix anymore, is it? It's a lukewarm fix at best. Ooh, definitely in num bum territory. Where's the engine gone? There. Right, so we need to replace that one. That's the old, not so good one. And where is this one stored? Ring 1 ceiling. D-deck ceiling panel. Security desk. Okay. Actually, when I remember, we can go the right way up again now. We need the floor template. Where is it? There. So we need to borrow that. So that's the group, that's the component. Is that all the items? Yeah, so that can be exploded into a separate group. Okay. So group, component, and items. The old file's not there because I've converted everything to FBXs now rather than objects. BDEX healing panel curve, 5 segments, stair interface. I think that's probably the most logical thing we can call it. And then we shall re-import this, the new file. And then we want ring 1, ceiling panels, blah 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 blah, stair interface. It's in the same place, so that's good. To round those edges, don't I? Make sure the socket is still in the right place. Yeah. Great. Okay. So all of those we're using that actor anyway. But these ones can now go because these ones are going to use the other one we made. So that's the middle bit, and then they are that one. And we'll have the same, like you can see here where it's overlapping. So we'll have the ceiling bit up there be the same width as this bit here, because then we can use the same panel there. Try and get this one exported quickly so that Claire doesn't shout at me for being late. Grab our little marker, group it up with that one. Set our directions. Again, this is defining the origin, the world origin of the mesh. I think I'll probably just call this like planter 1, planter 2, and so on. So yeah, planter 1, and we'll go 2, 3, 4, 5 as we go around the corner. So we don't need that bit. Where's the engine gone? There it is. Right, so we'll go to that one, import the new one. Hey, Sasha. The full gameplay loop. Difficult one to answer because we're just building it system by system and then iterating as we go. So I wouldn't expect to see anything that we could call the full gameplay loop anytime this year. So I think we're looking at 2026 for that. But for us, the line in the sand is for every role aboard the ship to have a jobs board, which is generating jobs to do, so that your role actually matters and means something on the ship. Have the full crew implemented and roaming around doing stuff, and have alien cultures in the galaxy be actually properly interactable. I think, once we get to that point, we are we're starting to sort of hone in on the proper gameplay experience that we're aiming for. But yeah, I would say 2026 for that. Should be all we need to do there. And if we copy this guy over there, just do planter 1, then we need to mirror it on the Y, and there we go. So first angled panel, and then the same around here. Just copy that over there. That one doesn't need angling. And then we will have the planter light hanging down from kind of there-ish. So we didn't get as far as making the actual light fitting, but it'll hang down kind of like that. So we'll have like a proper lighting unit like attached to the panel. Same for all of these, they'll hang down like that. Okay, so if we get rid of that one, we can just change these ones. They're already in the right place. And you can see that they're now no longer overlapping, which is nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, I shall stop fiddling with it, and shall wish you all adieu, because I am, as I say, I do need to shoot off and do some stuff. So I shall wish you all well. Have a good rest of the week, and I shall see you on Sunday stream, where we will be doing our prize giveaway. So yeah, be sure to head to the Discord, pick your numbers for the number draw. And yeah, good luck. Hopefully you'll win something. All right, see you on Sunday, guys. Bye for now.